friends. Welcome to Fishbowl Roulette. For those of you just tuning in, this is a podcast of random questions literally pulled out of a fishbowl. We always have a guest. Today's guest is Stephen East. Stephen is actually a Cape Girardeau native. I only just met him. I think we spent time together like twice, maybe?
Probably, yeah.
So the first time I met you, your brother-in-law said, yeah, he's a housing analyst. And I literally looked at you and said, oh, just so you know, I'm pretty sure that the entire housing market is a house of cards, and I think we've been sold a whole bunch of bunk. For those of you who don't know, I lived in Fort Myers, Florida in 2008, which was...
the epicenter of the crash.
Yeah. So I'm a little jaded. I did later go on to find out that you actually are a Wall Street housing analyst, and in fact, one of the top housing analysts in the nation. Currently sitting on the Toll Brothers, which is the fourth largest builder in America. Currently sitting on Sezzle, which is fintech. I love that word. I never really know what it means.
It makes two of us, so don't feel bad.
Great. Great. You are the youngest of 9.
Correct.
You have 2 or 3 children?
3.
3. And do you have grandkids?
5.
You have 5 grandkids.
5 grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you currently live in St. Louis.
Right.
And you own, well, do you own or your kids own? Or you kind of all own?
I'm invested in it, and my kids run Cottle Village.
Yeah, which is very nice.
Fantastic place.
It is a fantastic place. I've only been there once, but we really, really enjoyed our time. The food was amazing, and the atmosphere was awesome. It did help it was Kentucky Derby. I'm sure that was in and of itself a treat. Yeah, so, okay, so you've listened to some. You know what you've gotten yourself into.
I have listened to many of them, and I love it.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you've done a great job.
Thank you. Well, we're going to have fun because this is about as unfiltered as it gets.
Well, I'll do my best at being unfiltered.
I know. Well, because you actually have, I mean, you've named a few of the networks that you have been on to give housing reports.
Primarily, the biggest one is CNBC. I used to be on that fairly regularly for...
Probably if I was doing a better job introducing you, I would have
said
that.
No, that's all right. Bloomberg and some of the others.
Yeah.
But luckily, I don't have to do that anymore. So
no, you don't. And here you get to say what's actually on your heart and mind.
Exactly.
Do you want to talk about the housing market?
Sure, we can dive in there if you want.
Yeah, before we dive into the fishbowl, just a little bit. Like, I think I asked you this when you met my daughter that night. I was like, what would you tell somebody who's really, they're buying, you know, I'm going to back up because you can't see all the words in my mind. Real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. I hear that from young people they all want to get into investment real estate. They all want to buy properties. They all of those things. What would you tell somebody who's trying to do that?
Yeah, I would tell them a few things. One, the biggest thing is buying right. And that sounds simple, but it's not that easy. If you buy at the wrong time, you will spend years. It depends on where it is. When we're talking about Fort Myers,
right?
You literally spent decade plus, up to 2 decades to get your money back. And so that's extremely important because you make a lot of your money on the back end. Hopefully you're cash flow positive the entire time, but not always. So it's really important to buy right. I think the other thing is it's okay to do it bit by bit and take your time and grow your business slowly, etc. Whether you're buying new, whether you're buying existing, it doesn't matter. It's very easy to get in over your head quickly.
Yeah.
And if you've mistimed the market, then, it's an illiquid asset. So you're sort of stuck.
Right.
And not sort of. You're taking a loss and you have it levered. Mm-hmm. And the bank's not too happy when you can't make the monthly payments if you don't have the right renters in there. So it can be a tough business. And on the new side of the world, which I spent a big part of my life, quite frankly, they are the swing part of the market. So the new construction, they go in cycles. They overbuild, they underbuild.
Is that by design or accident?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. The bigger builders, it's primarily by design. The smaller builders who aren't as sophisticated, who can only get funding when the market is stronger, have a tendency to overbuild at the wrong time or buy too much real estate at the wrong time because that's when they're getting funded, quite frankly. And so it's a combination of both.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. we could probably have an entire show on economics, and I could just let you talk, because I'm thinking now, I'm hearing what you're talking about, the new build and replaying Florida. You know, we lost $100,000 almost overnight, just gone.
I believe it.
Now, we could short sell our house, which is not ideal, but it was better than bankruptcy. It was better, and that law was so short-lived. I think
exactly.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
It was almost there at the right time, some might say.
Yeah. It came into play to make in a lot of ways. So in a lot of ways, the Fed was a bit to blame for the housing crisis, but they also did a good job in making it so it didn't take the economy under, because housing has an ability to wreak havoc on an economy if things go grossly wrong. And it did. Florida, what people, all people ever think about with Florida is in-migration. Well, the housing crash was so horrible in Florida that you actually had out-migration for a few years in Florida.
Yeah.
And it's hard for people to understand. That's what today, because, they just see, retirement, great place to live, cheap living, relatively speaking, great weather, etc., beaches. But it was so painful for people. And I absolutely believe that you lost $100,000 overnight.
Yeah.
Short sales were so ridiculously common, and it's just, here are my keys, do what you want with them, bank.
Right.
You can go after me if you want, but good luck.
Right.
And
that was us. We were like, we're leaving. We're going to Kentucky. Here's the house. We don't care.
Yeah.
Figure it out. And
and places like Kentucky, Missouri, the Midwest, the Mid-South did much, much better than all the coast. In the housing industry, we call the coastal areas the smile states. So if you drew a face of the U.S. and where the mouth is, it just follows the coast of the U.S. And that's what absolutely got crushed in the housing decline. But that's also what's come back the strongest. And what's happened since COVID is just absolutely fascinating. The markets have exploded pretty much everywhere from a price perspective. At the same time, rates have gone up from 3% to 6.5%.
I mean, when you bought your first house, what was the interest rate? Do you remember?
8%.
Right.
8%.
I can remember, we refinanced. I think we were at 7 something, and it went down to 6, and we were high-fiving each other, right? And now these people who have 2.5 and 3, I'm like, well, congratulations, you live here forever.
Yes.
Or you just know that you're going to pay a lot more for a lot less.
It's mortgage lock. You got it. And, I can't count the number of times I refinanced from 8 all the way down. But, and that's a big problem, that you have a lot of people that are locked into the place that they live, because between rates going up and house prices going up, you have the worst affordability pretty much in modern times right now, over the last couple years. Probably going back pretty much since World War II.
Yeah. I think I told you this. I can't remember. So Olivia, whom you met, she's working for the Realtor Association of Missouri, loves her gig, director of communications. And so she went to their national conference out in D.C., and their chief economist was like, 20, 25 years, the average price of a home is $1 million, which I guess doesn't even seem that shocking to me anymore. But that is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. By the way, your daughter was great.
Thank you.
And I love the energy and the excitement and all of that of a young person that's just going into the business, because it's a fascinating business. Yeah. I love it. I worked on Wall Street, and I was a finance person, and but I will tell you, it was housing that really hooked me.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so happy to be on the Toll Brothers board and still be involved after I retired, because it's just such a fascinating business.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, we're going to get into your story, because the bowl is awaiting. Now, Congratulations. I'm piloting something on you for the first time.
Okay.
I usually have bowls that are sort of labeled.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I doing that? I have a whole bunch of different kinds of questions in
Oh,
here.
great. Yeah, I was going to go for the beliefs and
You're like, I have been
stay
practicing.
away from the wild
I've been
card
practicing.
And, yeah. I've been standing in front of the mirror. Hey, let's try this.
Yeah, well, I knew that you were
Okay.
polished, so I had to think of something.
All right.
I had to think of something.
And I did wear my glasses, so
Great.
unlike
I forgot
some
mine.
of your guests. Oh my goodness. What question are you still trying to answer? I think that's very simple. What am I going to be when I grow up?
Yeah, me too.
I'm 62, and I'm trying to figure out. I don't feel like I've had an entire career. I truly feel like what I did coming out of college. And my son always says, "Oh, Dad wants to live forever, wants to live to be 100, all that." Well, with my family's genetics, I'm pretty sure we're not going to see 100. But
Great.
I do approach life that way, that what's today? I heard a quote one time that it's just another day. Oh, what's your day? It's just another day. And then the response was, no, it's one less day. And to me, some of my background with my siblings and a few things that you don't know that I'll talk about, but that makes me painfully aware of the urgency. I've always had a sense of urgency, even since I was a kid. I was a little bit of an odd duck from that perspective, and sort of driven and focused. But I still want to figure out, okay, what's the next thing in life? Where do we go from here? What else can we do? And so that one is a pretty simple question for me.
That's good.
I'm going to ask you.
Well,
that.
it's really the same, actually. Like, my parents are 86 and 88. They haven't worked since 57 and 60, right?
Yeah.
That's a long time. And I'm 56, but I don't feel 56. I'm like, what can I do? This podcast. I started a podcast when I was 56.
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't know where that goes, but I'm like you. Like, what is the next thing? Because if I'm here in this life, I intend to make the best of every opportunity that is afforded me to live life to its fullest. Like, Bob and I are talking about going to go do the Great Loop. That's the intercoastal waterway, like a big boat thing, and it's 5 years. I mean, It's a long time off. I'm like, why can't we figure it out now? Obviously there's, money and family and, all the stuff, but yeah, what is next?
Yeah.
What do you toy with?
Yeah.
The entertainment side of things in your family, that exists, right?
It does. It does. I joke with my buddies that I'm going to do stand-up comedy, and they're like, good luck. You're not that funny.
I will come. I will come. I would love to see that.
Yeah. But, there are a lot of things. I don't know. I'm very much ADHD. Probably more ADD than ADHD, and my daughter's that way. My mom was that way. My sister, my brother, my daughter sent me this little, like Instagram thing where this guy's talking to his therapist, and therapist asks, "So, how many new ideas have you had in a typical day?" He said, "Well, in a typical day, usually about 1 to 300,000." And that's typical. An ADD brain.
Yeah.
It truly is. So what's next? I don't know. I'll keep on pushing forward. I don't put myself out there to the extent some of your other guests do.
Understand.
But I keep on pushing myself as much as I can that I'm comfortable with, but I don't know what's next.
Okay. So did I just hear in between the lines, you do have a couple of things you've got percolating in your head. You're just not sharing them, or you're holding those cards a little bit?
I probably have like 20 things percolating in my head. That's the
great.
problem.
That's
yeah,
great.
that's the problem. So,
Yeah.
I'm well known for starting a million projects and finishing none.
Well, so I jokingly refer to that as the squirrel brain.
Yes,
So
big time.
and that's okay because you got to have people who start things. And there's plenty of people who want to come along and implement.
Yeah, you got it.
They're not going to have the idea. They need I'm with you. I'm like, this, and then walk away and kind of see.
My friends and I joke that I'm the big idea person, that the implementation's to them. They go do
They'll
that.
take care of it. They'll take care of it. Oh, good. Okay, what's next?
I don't know. In
the bowl. Come on, Stephen.
I thought you were just trying to ask me the question again.
You're like, I honestly don't know, Sandra. Stop badgering me.
Oh, my. Okay. This is very simple. When has your faith been hardest to hold on to?
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about your faith before you answer that, so people know where you're coming from?
Sure. You mentioned I'm the youngest of 9.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that I grew up in a good Catholic family.
Absolutely.
Right? My dad was Catholic his entire life, grade school, high school, etc. My mom converted from being a Southern Baptist to a Catholic.
Oh, my.
Yeah, and she was, they were both extremely serious about their faith, but she was very adamant about what the kids did, too. So we went to church, every Sunday, and that was a big part of our life. And it's interesting. I remained Catholic, and my kids grew up Catholic. My grandkids go to a Catholic grade school. I have not been to a Catholic service on a regular basis for 20 years. And that 20 years is when my brother died. And he died in I'll say it, he died by suicide. And he was my closest brother. And we were extremely close. He was 7 years older than me, but he and my sister basically raised me and was by far my biggest supporter in anything I did in life. And I had a tough time with our pastor at the time, who had a big problem with suicide. And my faith was pretty much gone for a while. And I will backtrack. 3 years before that, my daughters, who were 16 and 13 at the time, and my daughter's then boyfriend, who became her husband, were in a terrible car accident where my daughter, that was 16 driving, was ripped out of the car. They came over a hill, and there was a bicyclist in the road, and she swerved. The three of us would have corrected and kept on going. She had her license for 6 months, ran off the road, down the hill, hit a tree, and it peeled the car back and ripped her out of the car.
Oh, my gosh.
They found her sitting upright in the seat about 20 feet away with half her
seat
seat
and
belt.
everything out.
Had half her seat belt still on. And her boyfriend at the time basically saved her life by putting pressure on a cutout. She had facial injuries. She had injuries head to toe, but she hit her face on the car on the way out. And she was airlifted to Big Mercy Hospital in St. Louis, and my other daughter went to another hospital 45 minutes away from that hospital. They didn't expect her to survive. We were going to go visit my other daughter when she went into surgery, and they came out and said, "Don't go. We don't think she'll survive." By the grace of God, she did. And that was an episode that I leaned on my faith. Both my wife and I leaned on our faith tremendously. And that was 2003. And was the only way it got us through and got me through. I can't speak for her, but got me through. 3 years later, this happens with my brother, and it was the exact opposite. And then I spent, probably the next 5 years trying different churches, seeing if it was a place for me. And, finally found one, and it's been home for the last decade plus. But I will probably always consider myself a Catholic, and I know I probably just alienated half the people listening that are Catholic. There's some things I miss from the Catholic Church, but that was an eye-opening experience, and I've always
did that. So when you went, because
no, go
crisis of faith, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Triggered by the loss of a deeply loved person, and then did I understand you correctly? The priest or the pastor compounded it.
Yeah, because he came to the house and came to my brother's fiance's house, and they were both parishioners, and he was great until he found out how he died, and then it was like a switch turned, and because the Catholic priests are doing better now with suicide, but 20 years ago, and this was an older
priest, a mortal sin.
A mortal sin. You got it. And it took all my self-restraint not to
deck him
and have another sin right there that I was going to have to go to confession for.
Right. Yeah. Good for you, first of all. Not that you need me to say this, but a lot of people would have just, I'm done with God.
Yeah. Right.
How did you stay connected enough to know that you wanted to go find another church?
Oh boy. I guess because the way I was brought up, I wasn't, I was never in anybody else's business about faith. That was, my parents were distinctly not that way, and that's how us kids were. And I often question, how does all this, because, I was a pretty questioning child and adult, and all right, logically, this doesn't make sense. Does the Bible really make sense? Is Jesus really the person?
Right.
You go through all of that. And, but at some level, it just, no matter how much rationally I thought, okay, these pieces don't always seem to fit together. But I always recognize, too, that, we're the children, he's the parent, so to speak, as far as understanding everything. And just slowly over time, I'll back up. I'm a huge believer, and I'll tell anybody this that's going through any struggle that they have, good always comes from bad. I am just a firm believer. You can't ever compare the two because, oh my goodness, the good will lose every time to a serious bad. And then all you do is just drive yourself even further. It's not a competition. It's just, okay, some good things came from these terrible things.
Right.
I'm a much better person today, interpersonally and, with others, problems, etc., than I was before those events. Or my other brother that passed away in 99 when he was only 46, or Brad's wife, Karen. Yeah, my sister, Karen. And then my oldest brother also did. So all of those things change you. And I think that there are so many good things that can come from that stuff. It's just, you just have to look for them, and you have to let them come into your life.
I think what you just said is key, really. Because acknowledging the good that can come doesn't mean the bad thing didn't happen. Doesn't mean that the bad thing wasn't painful.
Right.
But I think sometimes people won't allow the good thing to come into their life because it's
absolutely they won't.
It's just too much. Like I have to hang on to this. This is my rock, right? And I'm going to carry it forever. and that's how it's going to be, and nobody's ever going to really get it. And, you know, you and I are lucky, as is everybody who I think has sat in here when we talk about this. We are so privileged here in this country to not face so many of the terrible things. Right. And the world has always had terrible things. But then, you know, when you were saying that, I'm going to get the book wrong. He was a Holocaust survivor, and he wrote a very small book, and it's basically about they cannot get to your mind. He's a famous author. I need a computer so I can look things up so I don't sound like this in my podcast, but it's just what it is.
Isn't your producer supposed to help you out really quickly?
Come on. So he's like, no. I'm going to figure it out. But that book is amazing. It is an easy read. And would it exist without his experience? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And the impact that he has had in the world on idiots like me who can't remember the title. But I do remember the point of that book, which is you don't have to lose everything, even in the worst of circumstances.
Yeah, I love that. I love that thought. And, you know, I think that sometimes people can do too much navel gazing, if you will. You know, if you have a bad situation, you can either sit there and say, man, this is a horrible situation, or why am I in that situation? Or you can get to work and just keep on plugging through it.
Right.
And I think that's, you know, that's the reality of it. And, you know, I would say all of us kids are that way. And it came from my parents. My mom in particular was a no-nonsense person who really would, you know, lost my arm, I'll use my other arm.
A Southern Baptist Catholic. Hello. Yeah. That's kind of all you need to say.
Yeah, they grew up with on a farm with no electricity or running water.
Oh,
and then had 9 kids and worked 2 jobs. And, a very tough, extremely tough individual. My wife used to always say, oh, if your mom would have been born in our generation, she would have been the first female president. And I was always like, no, she would have been the first female dictator. You know, so
she's like, you absolutely do not have a say. This is how the household is running. Well, with 9 kids, can you blame her?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And 6 of them were boys. So it's, you know, yeah.
Lordy, do you know, well, I'll ask, I don't want to drop a family name. I know you know them, and I'll talk to you about it after. Doesn't that sound titillating out there to my listeners? That they probably don't want me to say their name, but
I think I know who you're talking about.
You probably do, yeah. Anyway, 6 boys. There was a lot of action going on in that house. Okay, crisis of faith. Found it.
Yep.
I'm too far away. That's it. That's I don't know. That's a quick turnaround. It's like you think about the through line of that. You went through that with your kids, caused you to dig deep into your faith.
Yep.
And then had to go through that with your brother. What I learned, and we talked about on the Roger Lipe episode, is grief and love are completely 1,000% intermixed.
I listened to that and completely agree. You don't have grief if you don't have love, just like your guest said.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And yeah.
When I was pregnant with both girls, so I was pregnant with Olivia on 9/11.
Oh, mercy.
And I thought, what am I doing? We're getting ready to end, and I have this life, and I'm going to be in the barren desert somewhere. You know, I didn't know what was going on. And then the Elizabeth Smart kidnapping happened when I was pregnant with my youngest, Hannah. And it seems such like a small thing, but I was a pretty spiritual person. I converted to Mormonism. A lot of people don't know that about me. I'm not active, but I had a great experience with the faith. And when I realized, this is how my brain works. When I realized that I didn't have control, then I wanted more. Then I was like, I can't give it to God. That seems wrong because He is letting all of these things happen. I can't get down with that, and so I kind of just backed up. I stayed backed up for a while.
Yeah.
But then I dove back in too, so differently. But
yeah, and I get it. And it, you know, I don't know exactly when I re-engaged, but it was several years.
Yeah.
You know, because I would keep on trying another church, thinking the church was the answer. Well, it wasn't the church.
Right.
It was me.
Right.
And I wasn't ready anymore.
Right.
My dad had already passed away. My mom was still alive. And we talked about it some, and I was shocked. Because she was, pretty hardcore about faith. And she's like, I understand. You'll find it. Just be patient.
That's a good mom.
Yeah.
That's a good mom.
So
yeah, good. Well, okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no
the
problem.
transparency on that. Yeah.
No problem.
All right.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun,
Maybe
dun.
we'll have a lighter question here.
Well, I have the lightning round at my disposal, which
Okay,
always has
all
lighter
right.
questions.
Oh boy. What compliment has stayed with you for years?
Oh, yeah.
I
I mean, first of all, let's back up. Like when you were, running with big dogs. I mean, I guess you still do run with big dogs, but you know what I mean? Wall Street in St. Louis, a little different. You're very approachable.
Yeah.
Were you approachable then?
I am. You made a statement on one of your podcasts that your dad was a type A personality hiding as a type B personality. Well, that's sort of me.
Okay.
Down below the surface, I'm definitely a type A personality. And if I'm not a good, I know you got in trouble for not compartmentalizing at work, your life.
You have really listened. Thank you.
I was very much that way. I couldn't compartmentalize. And so I think that's the reason I've had successes, and that's the reason I've had failures, is that inability to compartmentalize. And I was very approachable. My clients, clients on Wall Street are really extremely bright and powerful people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would tell you, most anybody who's successful on Wall Street has an ego. And most of them are very smart. And a lot of times they think they're the smartest person in the room.
Right.
And so you have to read that room very quickly, and you have to understand, how to sort of put your ego and everything else that comes with it on the back burner.
But still hold your space.
You got it. I was, quote, the expert on real estate, and I'm walking into somebody who's not, but they've got twice the horsepower that I do. And so, yeah, you've got to figure out how to manage that, without a doubt. But it was a great job. I loved it because it was competition. And, from my background, I played sports through all the way growing up and in college and
you
et
played
cetera.
football, right?
I did. I played football. The smallest guy on scholarship when I went there. Yeah.
Feisty.
A whopping 159 pounds. Yeah. Yeah.
You would die in today's world.
Oh, I almost died
Today's football
then.
world, my
Yes,
Lord.
I almost died then also. But you did have to I went to Arkansas State undergrad, and I went to the University of Missouri graduate school, and I'm sitting here on Wall Street, and they're like, "You're not from here. Where'd you learn how to talk that way?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. This is not going to go well." But I joke, but there is distinctly you have to prove it to me that you're worth my hour. And so it was a big learning curve, and you had to be humble at times. And to your point, you had to stand up and say, "Nope, you're wrong. This is how it's going down, and this is what's likely going to happen because of that."
Yeah.
And you have to be more diplomatic, obviously. So,
Oh, yeah. New York
but-
City, Wall Street's really known for diplomacy.
yes, exactly, very much so.
So, going back to the original question, because I interrupted you, from that time, maybe, is there something that, not a compliment or the thing that you were known for that really, like, when it happened, it's just has stayed with you? Like, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, I think there were a few, I would say there's one in my professional life and one in my personal life, compliments that have stayed with me, and I tried to remember. On the professional side, I got a lot of compliments for outworking my competition and knowing the space better than my competition. And I got compliments from people that meant a lot to me, and from people I didn't expect. And so that was because when you're from Cape, and the old saying, you can, the boy can leave Cape, but Cape never left the boy. And you question yourself sometimes. You definitely have a crisis of confidence at different points in time, especially when a lot of the people had much different pedigrees and different schools, et cetera, that,
Well, even mannerisms, even like normal social things that we do here, how we're raised, then you get out there just culturally, then you throw in money and power.
Right.
Small talk, no thank you. Let's bust it, right? Like, let's get to
what I
it.
had in common with those, a lot of people on Wall Street, was pretty much zero. I can remember early on going to dinners and sitting and watching what the other people did, because I knew I had no idea how I was supposed to act at a dinner. I didn't know, even though I was one of 9, we didn't ever go out to eat at a restaurant. We struggled.
Yeah.
I can remember the first time going with friends anywhere. I was in 8th grade to McDonald's right over on Broadway, and sort of watching my friends order because I wasn't exactly sure how to order.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, one of 9, like that, I mean, that tracks, and, things are different, but that is kind of crazy to think about, especially in today's world.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, then threw you into Wall Street. What about personally?
Personally, after all this, being told that I had humility and that I took things seriously stuck with me. And it's like, okay, what's that mean as you get older? And I think as soon as you start thinking you're the best, you're the smartest, you're whatever it is, that's the beginning of the end. It truly is, in my mind. And so I tried to remember that. And when I got off course, I tried to remember that, hey, I can work hard, I can do these things, and everything else will take care of itself. And
It worked.
Yeah, so it worked.
Yeah. That's definitely, I think, the Midwest upbringing.
I would agree.
I mean, I don't mean to say
I
that
would
there's
agree.
not hard work ethics out wide, but there's just something like that belief. If I can just keep putting one foot in front of the other, I don't have to go to the special school. I don't have to have the $12 million in the bank right now.
You got it.
I can stand up in this room because I did the hard work to get here. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
To your point about Midwest, this firm that I went to in New York, I met the top 2 analysts. They was biotech and real estate, and they were both number 1 on Wall Street. And turns out they were both Midwest, Iowa and Michigan.
Really?
And, yeah. And we actually talked just what you said. I think it's just a different mindset from most of the people that were on the street.
I actually just found out there's a young man from Cape who just got hired by J Street as a market maker.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, that's a smart dude.
He had a full ride to Harvard. He got
that's a very
perfect
smart
score
dude.
on every test he ever, I mean.
That is outstanding.
Yeah.
And he will still go through, he went through it in Harvard, and he'll probably go through it more. He has a little bit of culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
No
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
interesting. Okay, before we get to the lightning round, let's pull one more.
All right, one more.
One more. Then you're buying the drink.
Oh.
That's how that works.
Right, that's a deal. Ooh, what's something you've become less certain about as you've gotten older?
Also, if you don't like one, we can dig in there too.
All right, let me. I'm going to do one more just to see.
That might be tied more to faith too.
Oh, yeah. When have you felt the loneliest in your success?
Good Lord, Stephen, we've got a lot of heavy stuff to talk about. The lightning round's good though.
Okay.
We'll end on a high note.
The loneliest in my success. Okay. Yeah, probably the pinnacle of my career was about 12 years ago. I had the great thing, I mentioned this earlier, the great thing about being an analyst on Wall Street is you get ranked. You're competing against all these other people, so it's a lot like sports and competition, et cetera. And it was the first time I had been named the top housing analyst. And it just happened to coincide with a really difficult time in my personal life and in marriage, et cetera. And that was probably, it was, the two were juxtaposed so starkly to me at the time. It's like, oh, okay, the more I struggle here, the harder I work here, and I'm about ready to implode. And I basically did implode. In the next year, I
implode professionally or personally?
Well, it all became personal. Things happened in personal life, but I also became. In 1 year, I had kidney stones that wouldn't pass. I went to the hospital for what they thought was a heart attack. I had
your health, just your body was like
cataract.
done.
I was 51 years old and had a cataract that I had to have surgery.
That's insulting.
Totally insulting. Totally insulting. Well, when I had kidney stones, they did a CT scan because they wouldn't pass, and they caught the bottom of my lung, and I had a spot on it, and it turned out to be a carcinoid tumor. And so, which, I thought, okay, so it's go and take it out. Well, and that's what they did. They went in, they took the lower portion of my lung out, and everything was fine. And after 6 years of scans, it was all clean. But that whole time period, because of our personal struggles, became very lonely at a time when I was having, probably 3 years of my most success professionally.
Toast to the town.
Yeah.
Nobody to celebrate it with.
Yeah.
Well, not
so
nobody, but
that's all right.
Yeah. Well, isn't it like, so have you seen the movie The Devil Wears Prada?
Yeah.
Do you remember the line where it's Tucci is saying to, and he basically is like, call me when your personal life is in the toilet. That's when you know you're succeeding. Yeah. And, it's funny, but there's some truth to that on both sides. Like, I think that's the new American dream the younger kids than us seem to be trying to have is how do they find the balance of all that?
Yeah. Yeah. And finding the balance, it was, I go back to, do you look at, oh, why is this happening to me? Or I can't believe I got this, or, how am I going to deal with this? At that time, you just plow through it. Right. I never asked those questions. It was only in hindsight that I ask them. And to your point, you ask, how do I balance? So literally the next year, I decided I was going to retire in 3 years. And that's what I did, because I couldn't balance. I couldn't compartmentalize.
Yeah. Listen.
What you talked about on your prior podcast.
In some ways I envy people that can do that, but in other ways I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm an emotional person, and I think that just kind of goes along with that it's my whole life. It's my whole life. Like, I'm not going to show up perfect in all aspects of it, and I am okay with that. And if you're not, then I guess that's how it's going to be. I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't. That's how non-compartmentalized my mind is, because I can see some strengths of it, but then I think you're cutting off part of yourself so often. How do you come back as a whole person?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, okay, you ready for the lightning round?
Oh, sure. Let's do it.
Okay. Very excited.
Yeah.
I also am terrible at this part, as you know, because I just always dive in with a discussion. Okay. Most unnecessary life skill. I hope you play the kazoo.
Most unnecessary life skill.
You know, like you tie a cherry string with your tongue, like.
Boy, that's a good question.
I'm going to see your siblings later. I'm asking them.
I was going to say either my siblings or my kids would jump all over that one. I'm pretty sure my kids would.
What would they say? What would your kids say?
Oh, my. I don't know. They would say that Dad taught us mental toughness. Here's how I taught them mental toughness.
Oh, I was like, that seems necessary.
Well, it seems necessary, but this was, we would sit on the couch, and like they would be laying there, wouldn't have any socks or shoes on, and I would hold their ankle, and I would
tickle their
foot, and their foot couldn't move, they couldn't react, they couldn't do anything. They would have to learn how to do that.
That's amazing. Right now, there's a social worker listening to this and is like,
exactly.
That is abuse.
Exactly.
I will call the children.
And we worked up to it. Of course, they couldn't do it at first. But you know, the funniest thing about it is they now do that to their kids.
That's amazing. Because it works.
All my grandkids know what mental toughness is.
That's
awesome. As far as that particular trait.
I'm trying to think how to turn that into a TED Talk.
Boy.
There's going to be a way. I'm going to AI that.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you later.
Yeah. I will tell you what skill I don't have, and that's singing, so you'd never have to worry about
me either.
Singing.
I mean, I will sing. That's the unfortunate part, but I can't do it well, so it's not enjoyable.
Oh, no.
And I never know the lyrics. Just like I don't know the book titles and things, I just go with it, though.
Oh, just make it up.
Yeah, why not?
They made a commercial out of that with this. So.
Exactly. Okay, something you have pretended to know way more about than you actually did. Is it the housing market? I've been dying to say that all day.
Yeah, the housing market. Exactly.
Gets fired tomorrow.
Well, let's see. My siblings or my wife would tell you pretty much everything, you know.
Know-it-all. He's a know-it-all.
I can sit there and talk. Specifically, though, I think it's more just a general. If people are talking about a subject that I know just enough to be able to participate in the conversation.
Yeah.
Then
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. And, you know, partly that's what helped me be successful on Wall Street.
Oh, yeah.
Because you do have to at least intelligently, you know, be able to hold your own on certain things. But if they wanted to get deep, I'm like, all right, I have to bow out, you know.
I was with a friend, and her nephew is out on Wall Street. I can't remember exactly what he's doing. He was prepping for a party by preparing questions. And I thought, we are definitely not in the same arena. But I also heard some of the guest list and was like, yeah, probably should.
Yeah.
Probably should be ready.
Yeah.
Okay, signature move for getting out of trouble as a kid. I mean, you were the baby of 9. Did you even get in trouble?
Yes. Boy, now this one's going to be a totally different answer than what my siblings will say.
Smiled at mom.
Yeah. They would say I ran to, so we called our mom mother because we called my grandma mom.
Sure. Okay.
Makes complete sense, right? Yeah. So I would, you know, they would say I just ran to mother and cried and hid behind her. I would say that I pulled the I'm smarter than you are card and tried to, outwit them or something like that.
That's funny.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to ask her. I'm definitely asking that one. So, okay, what part of adulting makes you feel like you were faking the whole adult thing? I came up with that one specifically for you.
Wow, that I'm faking the whole thing. This isn't, this will go back to, I'll give you two different answers. This goes back to the Wall Street thing. Before I retired, I would have a regular dream that I was standing in front of, I had to do these conferences once a year where I would have like 200 or 300 people in the audience, and it was me.
And smart people.
And smart people. And arrogant people, so they would love to put you on the spot in a situation like that. I would always have dreams that I was butt naked up there talking.
Really?
That I was going to be found. That's the
right.
That's the thing. You're going to be
right.
found out. That
right.
that's that's the thing professionally. What was the question again?
You answered it. I mean, it's imposter syndrome, right? Like,
yeah.
what's this whole adulting thing, and really, do you feel like you're faking it? I mean, that's not really how
the
it
other
says,
thing probably.
I guess what part of adulting?
It goes back to being a parent, right? When your kids are young, the questions are pretty easy, and then as they get older and older, and then they're adults and they get married and they have kids, and they have troubles in their relationships and all of that. And they're asking you for advice, and you're like, boy, isn't it time for dinner yet?
Right.
Shouldn't we be leaving? And to really sit there and help them in a meaningful way and not feel like you're just giving them a line of crap that ultimately they'll sit and think about and say, that was nonsense. That was a waste of time.
I say all the time, I thought I would know more. But really what I think I have realized is everybody's doing every part of life for the very first time. And you pick up wisdom along the way, but to look forward and be like, well, here's these situations and here's how that's going to get handled. Like, I definitely know that that's not really even possible.
Yep.
It's just not. You can make plans and God laughs. That's my, I'm like, that's just not, it's not how we roll. So, what is something people would never guess you have done?
Would never guess that I have done. My daughter did make me go skydiving on her 19th birthday. And I am, for people who know me, standing at the edge of a roof or on a bridge looking down or even in a skyscraper that is solid glass.
Mm-hmm. Not your thing.
I can't hardly function. So I did that. What else?
Was skydiving different?
It was. It didn't bother me at all. I've never had a problem with planes. I've flown way more than I've ever wanted to. And it didn't bother me a bit. And now we did tandem, so
right. But still.
Yeah. But stepping out and jumping didn't bother me, and why that didn't bother me, and I can't look over the railing of, top of the mark. I have no idea.
Huh.
But what else?
Interesting.
Yeah. I
don't know.
I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on what people would be surprised that I've done that they, don't know.
Keep waiting for somebody to be like, they tell me a crime or something. When I ask a weird question, like, whoa.
I've met, what people probably don't know is I've met a lot of famous or really powerful people just because of the line of work
right
that I do.
You want to name drop?
Yeah. A lot
maybe
on
not.
Wall Street, a lot of several of the billionaires that you see and it's not because of me, it's because that was your job. That's what
right.
you did. But I will say because of my job, I got to go, you were talking about 9/11, November of 2001, I went back to New York for the first time for a charity event at the Lincoln Center that Paul Newman held every year. He had this charity called the Hole in the Wall Gang, and it was for underprivileged children. And so I got to go to that. And it was fascinating going into New York, and I went down toward Ground Zero because I had extra time, and you couldn't get down there, obviously, and all that. But the patriotism to start the show was amazing. Everybody stood and sung the national anthem, and in New York, that's an oddity to begin with. But before it started, this was probably the greatest thing. A colleague from another firm and I were sitting like on the fifth row, right in the middle, and we're waiting for it to start, and we're there early, and I'm looking around, and about 15 rows behind me is Jerry Seinfeld and this lady. And I look at him, and we just happen to make eye contact, and I glance back again, and he looks at me again, and suddenly it's like a Seinfeld show in my mind. It's like I can see him. I'm Jerry Seinfeld. Why is he's a nobody. I can tell he's a nobody. I don't know him. He's 15 rows in front of me. Why is he 15 rows in,
That's awesome.
So it was hilarious, and my buddy was just cracking up, and he's like, Steven, you ought to wave to him. You ought to wave.
Yeah, you're like, it's getting weird now.
So I did. So I gave him a little wave, and he just sort of looked at me, and I don't know if it was a smile or a smirk or whatever, right. But, he seemed to be fine with it. But afterward, I got to meet, Paul Newman, Morgan Freeman, Julia Roberts, Matt Damon. Oh my gosh, what's the guy who?
I love Julia Roberts.
Accidentally.
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin.
For those of you who can't see, he was doing a hand movement of a gun. Sorry to Alec Baldwin.
That was really quick. That was really good that you got that.
At this point, I'm sad to say that is what he's known for. And, we're playing charades.
The crazy Gwyneth Paltrow, who's sort of,
she's
sort of
going
in her own different direction.
She's a different cat.
Although we got to go backstage afterwards to the cast party with all of them, and it was... it was. I don't get too enamored by those types of people, but it was an event that will stick with me till the day I
would
die.
imagine the energy inside that circle in that room for all of the reasons that you just mentioned, and then. Not all stars are like this, but the star power when it's turned on, that's electric, man.
And they were all there just conversing with each other and the other people that were in there, and it was not a big group, and so to watch them interact and all of that, it was fascinating.
Yeah. Have you watched the Martin Show? I'm totally obsessed with the Martin Short documentary. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. It's a must watch. The group of people that he came up with is great. It's when you see it, you're just like, that's a magical life. Wow. That is a magical life. And the feeling that I get is like that kind of feeling of like there was no choice. This group was going to come together and do something. And they did.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, last question.
All right.
This is a feelings question.
Oh.
We're back to that.
All right.
Okay, so 200 years from now, your great, 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 whatever grandchild has come across this conversation.
Yep.
What is something that you hope that they learned today about you?
I probably didn't elucidate it very well, but I hope that they believe a few different things, and I get it from my mom to a large extent. One, the drive in life, that if you want to be successful, you have to be willing to outwork everybody else. You don't have to be the smartest, but you have to be willing to work harder than them. I hope that they understand that you can. I haven't always been considered a soft, lovey, type person, and I hope that they get the message that I do care about other people, and I've learned that from the travails in my life, and everybody has those. And so it's up to them to decide if they're going to be a better person or not. And doing the right thing is a really hard thing sometimes. And when you're younger, you don't have any idea what the right thing is. And a lot of times you don't care. You just do it. And hopefully as you get older, hopefully sooner rather than later, you start to understand what the right thing is, and you live your life in that example. And I hope that's what comes across to, and I just pray that, I have, anybody from my tree. I always joke my family tree is a telephone pole. And so I hope
that's a whole different podcast.
Yeah, that is. That's a whole different podcast. Yeah, we've can cover a lot of things on that one. But I hope that they understand that each generation has a responsibility to try to make the next generation in their family or their social circle or their church or whatever it is a bit better. And then it's up to that generation to take it and run with it and hopefully do the same thing for the following generation. So that was a little deeper than what I expected, but yeah.
Well, I told you I wanted to surprise you. I wanted to see if I could get you off full polished. You seem fully polished, and I personally got a lot out of today, and I hope that my listeners did too. I'm sure that they did. If you guys like us, follow us. I'm out there on Facebook, trying to figure out the world of TikTok. I'm everywhere you podcast, but share it with a friend. If you have somebody who is going through a tough time and could use a little bump up about faith, about making the world a better place, this is probably the episode to send to them. So,
could I give you a shout out for your podcast? I told you I listened to them. I wanted to prep ahead of time, and you've had some wonderful people on there.
Thank you.
Your boyfriend's cousin was fascinating
Bill?
To me. He was. Roger Lippy?
Lipe. I know. It's the Missouri in us, but it's Lipe.
Lipe. Okay. Fascinating. I loved his energy, and I loved his approach to life. A couple of women you had on there were just, I loved it. I could listen to those ladies talk for a long time.
Thank you.
So you've done a great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. The purpose of this podcast, I'm not a Pollyanna. I know that there's plenty of stuff out there, but you know what? People are really trying to do the best they can. And there's people out there that we never know the name of that are great thought leaders that are creating impact, and they're just out there shopping at Schnucks, and I want to be able to highlight that. And, my thing is like, it's up to us. Let's go light the world.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
What else you got to do?
Well, I mean, the reality is the people who made the biggest impact in your life are the everyday people.
Absolutely.
Right? And they made life-changing impacts on you.
Yeah, no question.
So
yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So to everybody else, I hope you had a great time. I had a great time. You were a great guest, and I appreciate you being so transparent. I'm going to buy an expensive glass of wine on you when we leave.
Deal. Thank you. I appreciated it.